So, Sunflower Publishing, and a very, very special guest this afternoon, a young lady called Victoria Springfield, who has released five books now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Four.
We've got four.
Four. We got four.
I've got four out there now. You've got four out there now.
Yeah.
And she describes herself as a writer of contemporary women's fiction and really feel-good stories, I would say. Um, and she likes to immerse her stories in the sights and sounds and flavours of Italy. What is not to like about that? She writes about adventure, friendship, and romance. She grew up in Essex, then moved to London. Now she's in Kent, and I would imagine she's probably on book number 5, but we can ask her all about that. So, benvenuti, Victoria. I'm so thrilled to actually meet you in person. And I love the books there behind you, which is, and the invitation to Italy, which
Yeah.
is the last one that you've done, which I reviewed, which I loved. So, welcome. How are you? Are you
Thank
good?
you. Very well,
Warm,
thank you.
obviously.
Really
It's
pleased to
quite
be
warm.
here.
Yeah, really nice and warm in England at the moment. So, can we start with this latest book, Invitation to Italy? Take me through the process. Where did the ice, and how did you find this island, more to the point? So, talk me through it.
I'm trying to think when I first discovered the island. I think it must have been when we were staying on Ischia.
Okay.
And when we stayed on Ischia, we tend to stay, we've been there about 5 times, and we tend to stay at Casa Michela, which is the north of the island.
Okay.
And Procida is only about 15 minutes on the ferry away from there.
Mm.
And in fact, if you get the ferry from Naples to
Mm.
Ischia, a lot of the ferries do stop at Procida first. So
Mm.
the first time I went there, it was like a day trip. And I've since been back on a few day trips when we've been in Ischia, but also we went, it was just when the COVID restrictions were being lifted. And I had a great big long list of go to Stansted to do the pre-traveling test, and there where to go for the test on the way back and what to take. And I just this great big long list of sort of tasks to do. But we did manage to get out and to Procida for 3 nights then.
Right.
And by which time I knew that I wanted to set a book there, because I particularly like islands as settings for
Mm.
books,
Mm.
because you've kind of got this self-contained kind of
Absolutely.
community,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's without its own sort of own feel to it.
Well, you know,
And
you've just released a little clip on Facebook of you
yeah,
having so you did that. So that's not because I thought, oh, she's gone back. She's gone back to the island. So you did that. That was part of your research and your promo. This is where Abby would sit and have a coffee. And yeah, yeah. Oh, that's right. So when did you do that then? When did you
the
record that?
video I actually did when we were staying on Ischia on holiday last
Right,
year. So I'd already submitted the book. We
right,
went back over, and I whizzed around for the day, and I made a few little videos, like a few,
right.
yeah.
What a good idea. If anybody's listening who's writing a book, do your promos. Do your promos at the same time as research. I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah, yeah. So this book, the idea is a bit of a strange one because I haven't had this luck before. But I was sitting on the train, and there were some women on the sort of seats to one side of me across the aisle, and they're having this conversation, and they were talking about what they were going to do in the summer holidays, and they all had kids. And one of the women was saying, well, I don't have to worry about summer holidays because my daughter is going to stay on holiday with her dad, who was this woman's ex, and his new wife. And the other women were saying, oh, well, is that okay? Do you mind? And she's going, no, we all get on. It's great. And she just goes there. She can go there for the whole summer holiday. And they go on holiday and they go to this camping or whatever it was they were doing. And I thought, oh, that's interesting.
And you just thought, "Where's my pen?" Yeah, just
Yes,
taking out
yes.
of
And I thought, well, what would happen if you weren't that happy about that, and
Yeah,
suddenly your ex-husband was taking
yeah,
your
yeah,
only child, in the case of this
yeah.
book,
And that
off?
age that
Yes.
she
Mm.
what is she? She's about 14?
12.
Oh, she's sorry, she's
12.
12, yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
same age as my granddaughter. So that
Mhm.
kind of made me think, "God, that's awfully young, really." But no, okay, right, yeah.
So I do keep my ears open when I'm on the train, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, I haven't had another idea from sitting on the train yet.
right,
So,
well,
but
there's
I live in
time,
hope.
there's time, there's time.
Mm.
So from there, you kind of thought about the characters. So what would come first then? The location, the island comes first, then the characters.
This one kind of came together about the same time, I think, because I was just sometimes the location comes first.
Right.
It just depends. I think they have to fit together, and they
Yeah.
have to be the right sort. They have to be the right fit. You have to feel that the it wouldn't be the same book if it was set somewhere else.
Mm,
And I think that small island feel there,
mm,
where Chloe's going to be for the summer,
yeah.
and where Marissa, the fiance, the ex-husband's fiance, comes from. Her parents still live there, and that kind of sort of small environment, and that just kind of fitted in with the story, really.
Mm,
And that you could have these secrets also, that people, the sort of perfect life that people go to those holidays. I think there was a bit, I'm not sure if I kept this in or not now, whether I took it out, but I had Flavia, that's the sort of grandmother, on her balcony watching people and thinking, is this what, you know what do people think? They think I fully think I've got a perfect life because I'm living on this island, and perhaps things aren't quite
how
so
do
perfect
you,
on the
how
surface.
do you bring in the essence of Italy? How do you, I mean, I am picky
Mm.
because I live in Italy. I have a house there. So I'm quite picky when I read books because I really want to see some authenticity.
Mm.
And I really felt that there was a huge amount. How do you get that if you don't live in Italy?
I think when I'm on holiday, I do try to talk to people and try to get a flavour of where it is. And also, so far, when I've done books, they've always been set in places that I've been to on several
Right,
occasions.
right.
So not just pitched up and kind of gone to once and sort of just made notes on, I've actually kind of tried to sit and watch people and imagine my characters there. And when I go around, say, on that island, I have I know where Loretta's hotel is, even though it
Mm,
doesn't exist.
mm.
I know it's
It's
over
going to
there.
be there.
And I
Yeah,
walk down the road, and I know the apartment building
yeah, right,
where
right.
Flavia and Enzo, the grandparents, where they
Yeah,
live.
right.
And even though I've no idea who actually really lives there in real life, I've made them live there, and that's
Yeah.
their door they go in, and that's the church that Flavia goes to, and that's where the bench they sit on, and I sort of watch other people going into that church and other people sitting on that
That is
bench,
quite a
and
creative imagination, Victoria, isn't it? Really, quite
maybe.
an imagination. I mean, I've been to many islands, but not that one. I hadn't heard of that one. I mean, I've done Capri because obviously
Mhm.
you have to do that one, don't you? A
Yeah.
pilgrimage there. So when you mentioned this, and I thought, where is it? Where is it? Okay, and I was really interested to see that one of Italy's most famous films, Il Postino, had been
Yeah.
filmed there, some scenes, and also The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
Some scenes had been set there. So I mean, I was literally just writing down. I was Googling how I could get to Naples from Abruzzo,
Yeah.
and see this island. And it just sounds absolutely beautiful. And you've had some really good feedback on this book, haven't you? How do you feel this book? Where do you feel it sits within the collection of, we've got the Italian fiance, we've got farmhouse in Tuscany, and the Italian holiday. How do you feel it sits as a standalone within the collection now?
I mean, they're definitely all standalone.
Yeah, yeah,
The only thing they've got in common is the kind of sort of they all fit into the same sort of genre,
yeah,
and they're all very much Italy. This one was a slight change because it only really had two point of view characters,
right.
and I quite like to have. I think the other books have got at least three or four. In fact, because I got to the end and I had the two point of view characters, because originally actually Chloe was a point of view character, but both my agent and my editor didn't want her as a point of
Oh,
view
right,
character,
right.
because they said it might make it feel a bit YA if you had chapters
Okay.
from her point of view. But actually, I got to the end and I thought, it doesn't quite feel like one of my books that I have only got Abby and Loretta, who owns the hotel, as my two main characters. So I actually sneaked in a chapter from Flavia's point of view and a chapter from Chloe's point of view, and I felt so much happier that I had those other people. So I think it fits in the sense that, yeah, I've still got one of my main characters as being Italian, Loretta, as well
Mm,
as Abby, who's obviously English and going out to Italy on holiday. What they've all got in common, the books, is there's always somebody, at least one person from England, who
mm,
goes out to
mm,
Italy. They normally don't want to go. They
mm.
actually, they just sort of, fate has kind of conspired to send them there, and they're not expecting very much, or they're expecting something different. I mean, Bluebell in the Italian holiday, she's been had her arm twisted by her grand to take her place on the sort of Loving and Knitting magazine's tour of the Amalfi Coast. So she's suddenly there with a lot of people of pensioner age, and she's in her 20s. And Harriet, sort of browbeaten by her boss in a farmhouse in Tuscany to take some holiday, and sent on what she thinks is going to be a yoga holiday, only to find out that in her haste to book it, that the main activities are actually horse riding, and there isn't any yoga week that week that
Right,
she's
right.
for. So they've all got a reluctance to go there, and then they find their lives are kind of, transformed in some way by turning up in Italy.
How do you feel that you have got this? Well, I think it's quite a nice label, to be honest, contemporary women's fiction. Are you happy with that label do you ever do you want to break out for the next book, or are you happy for the moment with that label that you've got?
I think I'm happy with the label, and in fact, I think partly because I'm a member of the Romantic Fiction,
Yeah, yeah.
um, my name's Romantic Novelists Association.
Association, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've always also described my books as romance, but romance is a part of them, and I think, so. I've also described them as contemporary romance, but I think there's a lot of friendship and relationships between, say, in Invitation to Italy, the mother and the daughter, and Abby and the new fiance. It's
Mhm.
definitely not just a, you relationship between somebody meets someone and falls in love. That there is an element of
Yeah,
that, and
yeah,
I think contemporary women's fiction definitely describes what I
yeah,
do,
yeah.
and I think even more so going forward. I'm really trying to. Well, my interest really is exploring all those other relationships, as well as
Mm.
having a nice bit of dollop of romance in there.
Are there any characters in the book that you don't like?
Um, no.
I felt you were a little irritated with Alex at
Oh
times.
yes. Oh yes.
Sometimes you can sort of read between the lines and you think, she does seem a little irritated by this, by this ex-husband. Or has
Yeah.
she written that to show why perhaps Abby and his relationship didn't work,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe, you know?
I think we have to feel that Abby's actually better off without
Yeah,
Alex.
yeah, I got
Um,
that. Yeah, I felt that. I felt that.
yes, definitely. And that also helps her sort of move on in her kind of connection with developing that kind of connection with Marissa.
Mm,
The fact that she kind of sort of, without giving too much of a spoiler, she kind of isn't going to be still hankering after Alex by the end of the book. Um, In fact, we made Alex a bit nicer than I made him. In
Yeah,
fact, I made him worse. And then my editor said, well, we like Marissa really, and we don't really want to feel that she's with this
yeah.
awful fellow. So
It's
I
awful.
actually made him a bit more sympathetic. Mm.
Marissa, I'm sure everyone has met a Marissa who's just, so well tailored and
Mm.
seems to be beautifully accomplished, straight out of a Jane Austen novel, can do anything that she turns a hand to. And immediately there's that sort of, she's better than me. But then when you get to know that person, sometimes all is not what it seems sometimes, is it really? And when
No.
you do dig deeper into someone, they're not quite, it's not the perfect person that you see on the
Mm.
outside. And I think that's quite nice because, that's part of the character development, isn't it? If
Yeah.
everyone was perfect, there wouldn't be a story. But there is something that there are issues. Everyone has issues. We just
Yeah.
don't know about them. But no, I loved it. I really, really loved it, and it's certainly made me feel I want to get to the island for
Oh.
definite. Um, can we go back to where you started with the writing then? There's not that much about you out there on social media, and I do try to dig and find something about, will she won this competition when she was 10, or she wrote a poem when she was 12. But there's very little about you. You're quite an elusive author. Um, so I wanted to take me back to where did the writing start for you?
When I was about 5 or 6 or 7,
I knew it. I knew it. Go on.
um, I always liked, I think it was probably my favourite subject at school when I was younger. And I
I,
used to make up stories. And I think in being a child at school in the 70s, we had to entertain ourselves, didn't we? We didn't have all these gadgets and things. So you used to make, anyway, if you weren't dressing up with the dressing up box, you were like making up story. Well, I was like drawing little drawings with colored
right.
pencils and things, and then making up stories and
Mm.
making up little plays and things, and forcing my younger brother to dress up in all sorts of strange clothes for my little plays I wanted to put on. So it went back to that, and a lot of my old schoolmates will remember my inverted commas novel I wrote when I was about 7 or 8, called
Oh,
One Bee
wow.
and the Chocolate Pudding,
Oh,
which
wow.
was every child in the class got mentioned in the One Bee and the Chocolate Pudding. But and I did have some poems published in Pony magazine.
There you go, you see.
Yeah. And then, you know, I was at Liverpool University. I was a bit more of a serious character then. I
What did you
was
study at Liverpool?
history and politics,
What year did you go to Liverpool?
86,
Mm,
86 to 89.
yeah, yeah. I was a little bit
Mm.
before that.
Yeah, so oh, right, you were there. Oh, that's
I
interesting.
was. I was.
Ah.
Yeah. At the time of the riots, no less. Don't want to give too much away regarding an age, but yeah, I was,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, history.
Yes, and I wrote a bit for the,
Oh, wow.
student newspaper and so on. And I have, before I was writing novels, I did write a few travel articles and things, and yeah.
So
So
that's always been there in the background.
always been there in the background. And then I always wanted to write a book of the type that I kind of would like to read myself. And I saw, and I'd been to Minori. Actually, we'd been to Minori on the Amalfi Coast before, but then I actually went back there, and we got married there as well. And on honeymoon there was this coach tour, staying in a hotel, and that kind of got me thinking about remembering a story of a couple of friends of mine who booked a coach tour in their 20s, quite innocently, not realizing that everybody else was going to be retired on the coach tour, which is kind of quite funny, but they really enjoyed it because they had all these adopted grannies and grandpas on the
Right.
trip, and they said it was really good fun. But so I kind of thinking about that, and then I sort of started to write that, and then I saw a magazine competition, and this was, I think it was Good Housekeeping, and it was to write this women's fiction novel and win a publishing deal, and I think it was some large sum of money, like 20 or 30,000 pounds advance and all this kind of thing. So I sort of hurried to finish my novel, sent it off all full of enthusiasm, and that's the last I heard of it. So no, so I did not win the competition. I did not get shortlisted. So kind of back to the drawing board then, and I was carrying on trying to improve it, and giving it to friends to read, and people were hanging on to it for quite a long time, which I now realise, if people pick it up and start reading it and they like it, unless they've got a particular thing going on in their lives, they'll get back to you within a few days. But when you're nagging them like weeks later, it's probably a sign that it's not actually that good. Then I saw in the back of a novel, I think it was a library book, I just saw somebody mention the Romantic Novelists Association.
Right.
I thought, what's that? And I googled it.
That's where that's where it started for you. Right. Because you won that, didn't you?
No, I was on the I went on the new writer scheme.
Oh, right.
And then you just get shortlisted. Oh no, I was got shortlisted for that Joan Hessian, which is
oh, you were shortlisted.
Yes, yeah. Didn't win anything, I'm afraid. But no, I got shortlisted for that. But that taught me, that made the whole difference to me, because you submit a novel, and it goes to an anonymous person who looks at it and gives you feedback. Funnily enough, I found it the other day, my feedback, and this person was quite blunt, which was good actually, because I prefer that. I mean, and there was a lovely sentence. There was a lovely sentence in it which said something like, "I'm not surprised that your friends struggled with this, as they had to get over your lack of skill."
Right.
Okay. But he did say that she loved my characters and my story, and I thought, well, if my characters are good and my story's good, then surely I should be able to make the book good. So I took on board all the advice, and well, a lot of the advice, not all of it, and I rewrote, and then I got a couple of agents interested, and
is that the road? Really. Did you always want to go down that road of being published? That was the road that you wanted to go down, because you know what the market's like at the moment for writing books and self-publishing, and it's tough out there, isn't it? It's really tough. But yours is a success story, and it's remarkable. Well, not remarkable because you've got the talent, but just remarkable that in the market that we have, that you've got this. You got the agent first.
I got the agent first. Actually met her at the Romantic Novelists conference, but I was in touch. I saw that she was going, and I just sent a message saying, "Are you interested in?" I probably wrote 3 lines about the book, and she said she was interested to read it. So I sent it, and then I just got a message back saying, "Oh, I'll meet you at the conference." And I thought, well, I didn't know if that's just because she wanted to have a cup of coffee, or I didn't know if she was actually interested in the book. I didn't really know how to take this. So yeah.
Right. So that's how it started. So once you've got the agent, then hopefully with a good win behind you, then the agent can get you the publishing deal. So when you, what's the time scale from the agent to the publishing deal? Are we weeks, months, or years here?
About a year.
Right.
It's so difficult. Yeah. I think it's because someone that seemed to be very interested to start off with, and I don't think they've ever said no, but they never ever said yes. They just kept, anyway, time went past and just never kind of went anywhere. So but in fact, I met Charlotte Mersel, who was with HQ. I met her at the conference, and I had the first chapter of it then. And she said she liked it, and wanted me to send it. So the agent sent it, and then came back and just said, "Oh no, it wasn't really right, and it was and I should go and improve it, but it was a bit unclear how. So anyway, I did eventually do some more work on it, and then by which time Charlotte had gone to Orion, and Orion had Orion Dash Digital First brand, and so we ended up. My agent actually was in a meeting with Charlotte about something else, and she just happened to mention, "Oh, what happened to that?" It was called Poppy Print Dress at the time. What
Right.
happened to Poppy Print
That
Dress?
property. Well, right.
And so my agent said, "Oh, I think maybe it's worth sending it to her again because she mentioned it in the meeting," which is surprising to mention something from like months before. What happened to that? So we sent it again, and then kind of bated breath, and she came back this time and said, "Oh yes, send it to my new Dash brand," and that's what happened then.
Did you feel, I mean, it is a long process, isn't it? It's not an
Mm.
overnight thing. Did you always feel that you were going to be an author? It was going to happen at some point? Or, like a lot of people, you just think, yeah, I write good stories, but why does no one else think that I write good stories? Did you ever feel really disillusioned with it and think, oh, to hell with it, I'll just get an office job? Or did you just think, no, I've got something. I know I've got something. I'm
Mm.
going to keep going. How do
Well,
you
I have.
motivation and positivity? Where'd you get that from?
Well, I have the office job, you see. So
Right, right.
yes, yeah. So and I still got the office job three
Job.
days a week. So yes, I mean, trying to write books that pay is very difficult, and there's a well, I like to feel there's a lot of luck involved. So no, I wanted to keep going. I did have the feeling when I'd say think, oh, I'm just going to write. I'm just going to finish the one I'm doing, and then I'll do the next one. And if I don't get any further, then that's it, kind of thing. Which I have felt sometimes, but I'm always kind of ahead of myself writing, so
So,
that I'm never in that position really, because I've always got something that I've written that I need someone to publish. So
and have your publishers said to you, right, we want one a year? I mean, I suppose it's different for everybody, isn't it? Can you do us another three? How does that work?
well,
What?
mm, I had two, and then I
Yeah.
had another two, and um, I can't quite say any more yet. But
No,
I've
no, that's
hopefully
fine.
got
That's
something. I've
fine.
hopefully got
Yeah.
something. Well,
In
I
It's in
have
the
got something
pipeline.
that I'm going to be announcing at some point, but I'm not sure when. So,
As
and
we would
then I'll just say
say
what
in
happens.
Italy, lavoro in corso, work in
Yes,
progress.
lavoro in corso.
So
Yeah,
we can say
yeah.
work in progress.
Mm.
So hopefully, with a good wind, we will see another one coming
Yeah.
out, which is going to be fantastic. What can I just ask you a couple of author type questions?
Hmm.
Right. So, how do you feel about authors having a pen name, pseudonym, and presumably that is your real name?
No,
Oh,
that
okay.
is my
I'm
that
getting
is
a
a
lot
pen
wrong
name.
this afternoon.
Ah, no, that's a pen
This
name.
is why, right,
Yes.
right, okay. Can you tell us where that came from then?
Yes, I am Victoria, because I thought it'd
Yeah,
be very confusing to have a completely different name, and
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm Victoria everywhere, in
Right,
real life and
right.
as a writer. Um, yeah, I kept toying with different things. And every time I thought of something, I'd Google or look on Amazon and find there was another author with the same
Yeah,
name. So obviously I wanted
yeah,
something that
yeah.
wasn't the same.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I wanted something kind of that had the feeling of sort of sunshine, or
It
kind
does.
of
I know
something
it
like
does.
that,
It absolutely
Mm.
does.
And
And
it's
you
the
think,
road I lived in when I was
oh,
young.
right, that's interesting. Would you
Mm.
recommend to, authors that are listening that to go for a pen name? Do you have strong thoughts on that, or?
I think it depends what your name's like, whether it's a nice name or not.
Mm.
I think I was looking for a single syllable
Yeah,
last name. I think that
yeah,
would have been better.
yeah.
Victoria, short
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. But the ones I kept thinking of looking at, they didn't quite work.
Right.
So so I settled on this. But yeah, I've got my surname, which I mean, a lot of people know it, but it's
No,
one of these ones
you
that
don't.
no one knows how to spell it. So
You don't have to divulge any
no,
secrets,
no, but
really, you don't.
people invariably pronounce it strangely, or they don't know how to spell it. So it seemed better to have
Right.
something that people could spell and pronounce. And
I feel the same about mine. I mean, Riddolini, I mean, I'm not Italian. I'm very English from the north, but my first husband was Italian. So I've got this Italian name, but nobody knows how to spell it. I mean, it's, but it's part of me now. And I just say RID. So I carry on that way.
Mhm.
Um, I'd really like to discuss the covers.
Yeah.
Who designs these? Do you have a say in these? Because they're absolutely gorgeous.
I On my first one, my editor at the time, because I sort of changed editors there, she sort of said, "Have you got any thoughts about the cover?" And I said I wanted to have a girl on the back of a moped,
Right.
which they did do, and I like the yellow writing and things. And then the after the second one of Farmhouse in Tuscany, I was sent two different images, and I kind of liked the background of one and the girl on the other. And then so we kind of asked if we could swap the girl onto the other kind of background. That's as far as that went. The Italian fiance, I just got sent it, and it was like, here it is. But this one, Invitation to Italy, they did originally actually offer me a different cover, and I didn't like it. And yeah, that one actually, this Invitation to Italy is actually published by Orion Fiction, not Orion Dash.
Yeah.
So the original cover was when it was with Orion Dash before it came out. And because I didn't like it, they then decided to move me over to this one, to Orion Fiction. That gave me the opportunity that it then went to a different sort of bit of Orion to look at, which meant that I then had their art department looking at it there, and they
That's
actually
lovely.
sent
I
me.
love it.
They sent me the about 6 different versions with different color writing and different colored dress, slightly different position. And also some had lemons around and some had red flowers. Now I like the red flowers actually, but although it's all supposed to be Secret Squirrel, I did take my book cover pictures into my office, and there was girls in the office. I say girls, but 20 something to 60, and I just showed them images and said, "You're not supposed to see this, but which pictures do you like best?" And then it narrowed it down to 2, one which was this one and one which was a bit more similar to one I already had, so I wanted a bit different. And then I just went to all of them and said, which is better, the lemons or the red flowers? And every single person said the lemons.
Right. Yeah. No, they're lovely. I mean, they really do evoke everything that you want, don't they? About Italy and the weather and that gorgeous, gorgeous island. But how lovely for you that you are at this point in your life. Okay, I know there's 2 or 3 days desk job, but even so, that feeling of utter, what a fantastic achievement, because I can choose my own covers. You really,
Yes.
you're up there now, aren't you? Really, you're up there. I mean, that must be so wonderful for you, your family. It must be marvelous.
It is
You keep
lovely
pinching
to see
yourself
this.
thinking, they're my books. Those are my books in Waterstones,
It's lovely to see this one getting such good reviews,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
because I think once it's very difficult to judge your own work, and it's very difficult to know what people are going to think.
yeah.
And quite often the early reviews, the net galleys. Oh, on the Italian fiance, the net galley early reviews were like, I was just, oh no, why doesn't anyone like it? And then as soon as people actual real readers came along and started buying it,
Mm,
suddenly it was like, oh, it's just as, you know, just as popular
mm.
as the other ones, and people like it just as much.
Yeah. I
Whereas
was
this
gonna,
one,
I was
yeah,
gonna ask you about reviews because
mm,
how do you deal with bad? I mean, I got involved with this one because it was a book blog tour,
mm.
and and I just say, yeah, oh, it's Italy, yes, yes, please, I want to do this one. But when you do see an unfavorable review, how do you take that?
Well, actually, on this one, they've all been nice so
Really
far.
nice, yeah.
Yes, they've all been good, and I've actually got a bigger percentage of 5 stars on Amazon than any of the other books. Um, so yeah, I'm sure they'll come along. I mean, that someone's going to leave one that's not very nice soon, but do you know, it doesn't actually bother me, and um, in fact, my agent was really surprised when I got one of my books, and I just said that I started laughing, and she said, "I can't believe you started laughing," and I said, "Well, it was so bad that
Yeah,
you know."
funny. It was so bad.
Yes, it said something like, "My 7-year-old can write a better book," and all this kind of stuff, and I just thought, okay. No, but honestly, my view is that if you are worried about that you got a bad review, just look up your favorite authors and then go to Amazon, look and read their 1 or 2 star reviews, and you'll see people putting terrible things about
Yeah,
things that
I
you
know.
that you
Yeah,
loved, and
yeah, I know. It's like
so
art, isn't it? Books. I think it's so, it's so subjective, really, isn't
mm,
it? But I mean, I don't even like putting reviews on Amazon. I mean, I'd rather do them on Goodreads. I'd rather do them on my website. I'd rather say, I've read this book and I like this book for these reasons, and I would
mm,
recommend it for these reasons. But I'm not quite sure how Amazon, where these people come from. And sometimes it's so clear they haven't even bought the book. I don't know how they do that, but I don't really tend to bother too much with, putting those on. Um, let me ask you this. Do you hide any secrets in your books that only a few people who know you would find?
funnily enough, I do that. I do little sneaky things sometimes. I'll put something. In fact, in Invitation to Italy, um, Marissa is reading this great big fat serious um, book in French, which makes Abby feel sort of intimidating because she
Yes.
reads sort of books like, another Hollyhock
She's
Farm
reading
or something.
Tolstoy or
Yes,
something. Oh my God,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, she's reading like really serious book, and I put that just for a little laugh because my best friend, she she does like to read serious books, and she
Right.
one yeah, and years ago she went on a date. I mean, and this is years and years and years ago. She went on this blind date, and the guy said to her, "Oh, you like reading. What sort of books do you read?" And she started describing these like 19th century
Actually,
French
French
novels
book.
she'd been reading. To which he said, "Oh no, I meant what do you read for fun?"
Uh,
And she said, "I didn't like to say that was what I did for
oh
fun."
no. Oh
So it's quite
God.
funny. So I deliberately put that in there just for a
Right.
joke. And
Right.
sort of like it fitted in with the
Yeah.
book, but
Did she
then she
did
read
she
it and
get
said,
that?
"Oh,"
When she saw that,
so
that's me, isn't it? You put me
she
in.
realised I was having a little joke at her expense there, but she didn't mind. Um,
What, so moving on from that, what kind of books would you read? And I have to say, what is your favorite? I have to ask because I love this question. What's your favorite childhood book and why? And yeah, let's go on from there. Go on. Favorite childhood book.
oh, I read it an awful lot when I was a child, and I can't remember. I'm not sure what the favourite would be. I think it probably changed a lot. I mean, I loved anything with animals, so
Right.
that was, yeah. So whether that was Pooh and Eeyore, and there was, I remember Baba the elephant. That was a bit sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember Little Grey Rabbit
Mhm.
and all those other things. And also I like the Mr. Men books.
Right.
Yes, I remember that was very young. I just always remembered like Mr. Tickle and his long arms going through the window. And I think he went downstairs and he got himself a piece of toast or something without getting into bed, which I think
And
was
you
really,
thought,
really
I
cool. I'd
quite
like
like that idea.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
always thought with those, I thought, we had the Mr. Men and then it was Miss something or other. And I thought it was a bit like with, oh, what was my granddaughter watching with they've recently banned it, haven't they? All
oh,
videos about, I can't remember the name of it now, all the videos that she was watching as a child. And you think, it's never going to stop this, is it? There's always
mm.
going to be more and more and more. So if you're in Waterstones, let me ask you, what would you choose to read?
Well, a favourite author of mine who I discovered via the library is Ellen Hildebrand.
Right.
She's lives on Nantucket. So I guess there's an island thing going on there.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, yeah. And almost all her books are set on Nantucket, almost all of them. And she's very into like it's. I do like authors who get into the like nitty gritty of what people are thinking, the relationships and the sort of and the secrets and the different things going on in the island. And there's although they're all set there, they're all completely different books. There's like sort of minor characters who occasionally pop up. So this chief of police is the same chief of police on the island who's was in sort of 6 books earlier or what have you. And so I really like her books. I like I'm trying to think what I've been reading lately. I like Rosanna Leigh.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like I'm trying to look in my bookshelf actually.
Yeah.
Um, what have I been
Do you
reading?
prefer a paperback, hardback? Would you prefer an Audible book, or do you just read it on your iPad?
Oh,
What's your format that you prefer?
paperback definitely.
Right,
Or I'm a
okay.
hardback, obviously, if I'm borrowing from the library, they're quite often
Right.
hardbacks.
Yeah.
No, ebook. Occasionally I will get one just because for price reason, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or it's yeah, something like that. Audio, well, I haven't got into those yet, and I have to
Okay.
admit, I've got the Italian Fiance came
Yeah,
out on
yes, yeah,
audio, and I added it to my Kindle
yeah.
months ago, and then you've
Right.
listened to about half of it, and that's my own book. And Invitation to Italy is on
It-
audio as well, and I haven't heard that either. So at some point, I really ought to listen to it. But
I kind of go for every single anything from
mm,
from the paperback, like you say. With the Audible, if when I'm driving to Italy and I've got 3 days on my own in the car,
mhm,
then I love doing the Audible thing because then I can just listen to 3 books,
mhm,
and I'm not thinking, oh God, I've got another 7 hours before I get to Milan or something.
yeah.
So I love those. What about books set in Italy written by other authors? Do you do a lot of research to see what your competition's like?
No, if I'm setting something in a certain place, I avoid reading any other fiction set there because I don't want to accidentally absorb something else that
Right.
somebody else has written.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
No, I avoid that. I will read non-fiction set there, and I tell you who writes brilliant books, sort of memoiry books. Now, where is she? I've got them here. Oops. These Marlena, oh, pretty, I think the colour, the light's all wrong to read a bit. These
Yes.
Marlena de Blasi,
Yes.
yeah, 1,000 Days in Venice, and
Yes. Yeah.
somebody sent
Yeah.
me, somebody from who I met on Facebook actually sent me the other ones, and I've been reading them. I think I've got one left to read. They're really, they're really, really good,
Mm.
really enjoyable. And I used to love, oh, I can't pronounce this though, pretty Lisa Sanoban de Terran.
Oh,
She had
gosh.
some about going out and buying an old crumbling
Yeah.
palazzo in Umbria
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, It's just amazing. I mean, I was going to go on to just research,
Mm.
and obviously you've touched on that at the beginning of the chat about going. So, do you speak any Italian, by the way?
A bit,
Oh,
yes.
right.
I
Because you do throw it in, don't you? Especially if someone's at a restaurant, and you throw in the menu. So, and I think, well, that looks, yeah, that's authentic. Yes, that's right. That's okay. It's, it would be served like that or
Mhm.
something.
I do occasionally take a sneaky photograph of the menu on my phone
Right,
so
right.
I can serve the right dishes somewhere.
Yeah.
I
Oh, no.
usually, I, I've usually eaten them if I put them in.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Where's this thing about Italy come from then? I mean, people have always sort of said to me, Where's it come from, this thing about Italy?" And I've absolutely no idea. I just know that when I got to Liverpool University and I looked to see who else was in the Hall of Residence, there was an Italian name, a
Mhm.
guy, and I just thought, I'm gonna go out with him. I'm gonna marry him. Just
Ooh, I like that.
and that's where it started. I'm never quite sure. I was brought up in the north, so I had no idea about Italy at all. Absolutely none. But I mean, for you, where's it? Italian films as a child? What? Just
I blame my dad, well, who sadly isn't here anymore. But what happened is we used to always go on holiday to, my dad was a single parent for a while, and we used to go on holiday to like Bournemouth, and before that, when I was a child, we used to go to like the Isle of Wight caravan site
an
and things.
island. There it
Yeah,
starts.
another island.
Isle
Yes,
of
the Isle of
Wight.
Wight. Yes, yeah, I love the Isle of Wight when I was a
Yes,
kid.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Um, and then when my dad remarried, um, I'm not quite sure why, but probably if it was me and I was marrying someone who'd been married before, I'd be like, I don't want to do the same holidays you did before because it's new
Do
and
something
you know
different.
to do something different. And Dad decided for our first holiday en masse we were going to go to Italy, and chose this tiny hotel in this village. It was near Lake Maggiore, somewhere around there.
Okay. Okay.
And I have to admit, oh, I did not enjoy it at all. There was me and my younger brother. I was 13. We were dragging around. It was hot. We weren't used to being hot. We didn't have the really floaty stuff you want to wear when it's hot, because we used to all these holidays in England, and and I just remember trudging around
With a
and
brolly,
being
probably.
bored and hot and fed up, and we was walked and remember walking and walking, and then sitting down having this fizzy, and I had the peach juice. I used to love the peach juice and the apricot juice. And my dad and stepmom Susan, and they're sitting there and they're having their coffees and going, "Isn't this lovely?" And I remember thinking, I'm so bored, because I used to go to Bournemouth and go to the go to the roller skate place and go, or ice skating.
Rock
No, what was I
pools and
skating?
yeah, things. Oh
And
wow.
do all the
So
stuff.
yeah.
So it
So
didn't start off very well me in Italy, I have to say. And then after these experiences in the lakes, Dad then decided to book this flat in this little village called Gioviano, which is in up near in Tuscany. I think I had a postcard, but I think it's dropped down. But anyway, and tiny little place. And I don't know why.
oh, you
No,
froze.
I know I was a couple of years older, but and we were like in this time with this just rented this kind of, I think it was sort of downstairs flat in this house, and we used to go to this. It had like a little shop, and it had a post office, and had a little a place that was like a restaurant that did sort of pizzas and kind of local food and stuff. And we used to go there, and we met these amazing American couple who sadly aren't with us anymore, who were, well, they'd bought a place in the village and spent half the year there and half the year in Texas.
Right.
And they were like in their poverty when we met them, they were in the 80s, and they knew everyone. And Marjorie, she just knew everyone in the valley, everyone in the villages. She knew all the places to go, and they kind of befriended us. And my dad started learning Italian, and when we used to go
Wow.
back there, he used to start to talk to people, and
Amazing.
they got to know people in the village who we used to see. You know, they used to. I got then got older and went off to university, and you know, did my own thing really. But sometimes they used to turn up there for a few days. But they used to end up having a tea party at the place that they were renting, for an English tea party for
Oh,
some of the Italians
lovely.
who lived in the village, and they got the fact kind of you know, even though they were only there for a couple of weeks a year, they got kind of to know these various
Really
people, and
inside
yeah,
the community. How
yeah,
wonderful. How
yeah.
wonderful. So where can readers buy your books? You are on you are on social media. I've seen you on Facebook and you've got Twitter. Is there a website somewhere?
Yeah, no, I haven't got round to doing a
I
website
did try and
actually.
find one, but I have
No, there isn't
no.
one.
Okay.
No, I'm on Twitter,
Yeah,
which is Victoria S,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
S for Springfield
yeah.
writes, as in,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
writes. And I'm on Facebook, Victoria Springfield author.
yes.
I am on Threads, but to be honest, I need to actually look at it sometime. I mean,
Yeah,
I
not too keen on
very
that.
occasionally. I'm on Instagram,
Yeah.
which again
And
is Victoria S writes.
you do engage really nicely with people. Somebody put a post on today about, I'm sure it was Victoria Springfield that said something about making these models, you know, and I think and
Yes.
I think that's nice that authors do. And I do think it's part of the, you know, it's the name of the game now that you
Mm,
do need to be quite visible and to engage with your readers because readers love it. Readers love it. Oh, this is Victoria. Look, she's on the island. She's having a coffee. This is where she set it. You know, I love that kind of engagement. And
mhm.
you know, maybe you don't like social media, but you are doing that quite a lot now, aren't you? Really
I'm doing
engage.
it more. I'm doing it more.
Well, good
And
for you.
it's
You
because
know,
I'm just totally untechy, and the whole thing freaks me out. I'm like, what's a reel and what's this? And I mean, it gives auto. It
True.
auto does the captions, and this time it actually, when I put one on before, anything I said that was at all Italian, it spelt it so strangely. I thought I don't know how to change it, but this time it actually got Procida. It actually came up on the one I put on Instagram, and it actually spelt it
Right.
how it's spelled. And
Yeah.
it didn't spell Abby, my heroine, ABI. It spelled her ABBY. And I thought, well, sometime I have to work out how I can change it. But I just thought, oh, that'll do. That's that. You know, you get the
I've
feeling it's on there. Otherwise, I just end up not doing things because I'm kind of intimidated by the
I've
whole
I've yet
process of like,
I've yet
you know,
to see you on TikTok.
oh,
But do you know what? If you go on TikTok and, you know, for example, you know, that wonderful lady that wrote Chocolat, Joanne Harris,
yeah.
she started 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just her, you know. Hi everyone. I'm going to do some writing this morning, and this is where I write. You know, I have a hut in the garden, a garden house, and this is where I write, and I hope to get some ideas. It's not techie at all.
Mm,
It is quintessentially, this is her world as an author.
mm,
You know, there's nothing flashy about it. If she's going to some kind of writer's retreat or she's going to some conference, you know, she's on the train and she's telling you where she's going. And that's lovely. That's
mm,
great. It's just that sense of this is the author and people want to know more
yeah.
about you.
Mhm.
And that's really hard if you're a private person, isn't it? I guess to kind of, because you're putting yourself out there, aren't you? This is me on the
Yeah.
train on the way to. This is me at Stansted waiting for a flight. But
Mm.
you'd be amazed how many people really embrace all of that. I do. I love it. I love it. I really do.
I'm going to try to do more things when I'm back in Italy. I'll try to do some more little videos and things.
I loved that one that
Yeah.
you did. This is where she would have been sitting. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, Angela Petch, when she's doing her research, I mean, you've come across Angela. She
Yeah.
has lots of stuff going on in Italy, wonderful books. And when she's there doing the research, her and her husband will film about 20 of these short
Hmm.
little clips, so that when she's a year on, when she's ready to launch,
Hmm.
and you've got the build up, and it's lovely. It's like it's like, the films. This is the trailer. It's wonderful. It's really lovely. I love that you did. I really did.
Mm. Oh,
But
good.
can I thank you for your time this afternoon? It's been absolutely delightful just to get an insight into your world. It's been absolutely lovely. This will go on my website, this will go on my YouTube channel, and I'll probably try and I then I make it into a podcast, and I'll put that onto Substack as well, because I like to spread myself around my social media. And so, it's been really lovely talking to you. Please come out to Abruzzo, come and see my region.
That would be lovely, actually. That is one area that I'd like to see more of. Definitely. I
It's
mean, I haven't been as far as Abruzzo. I've been
no,
to let me think. I mean, you're not. I used to go. I've been a couple of times to a horse riding place in Montevarchi.
okay.
I think that's how I'm trying to remember if that was quite the right name of it. Which is, I know that they are an AR address, so
Yeah.
that's in that
Yes.
province about
Yes.
which kind of inspired
Yeah.
a farmhouse
Yes.
in
Yes.
so
Abruzzo is a region not like any other, because it was been so isolated for hundreds
mm,
of years with the mountains and the sea. Nobody came and nobody left, really. So they
yeah,
all
yeah.
intermarried. Well, I think they still do to a certain extent. So everybody kind of knows each other, and it's kind of the land that time forgot, really. Okay, we've got the airport now, and we've got really good network links to Rome, but it's only in the last 30 or 40 years it's
Mhm,
opened up to tourism. English is really not very well spoken
mhm.
at all. But we've got the mountains and we've got the sea, and I think that's all we need, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go to Abruzzo, actually.
Yeah.
That's
Well, if
definitely
you
on my
go,
list.
please, for goodness sake, just call me and come and see Abruzzo, because it really is. I mean, maybe a book set in Abruzzo, who knows, down the line.
Sure, there will be one down the line. Yes, yes.
Anyway,
Mm.
thank you so much for your time. I've really, really enjoyed talking to you. And you're on the way. You're up there. You really are.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. It's
this,
been great. Yeah, it's been really great to meet you, and
yeah, finally you as
yes,
well. So,
finally, and
yeah, wishing
yeah,
you
it's been
luck
great to
with
talk.
the books, and you are a success story. And as I tell everyone on my writing retreats, with a good wind behind you, a publisher and some talent, there is nothing to stop you achieving your dream. You're proof of that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been great. Thank you.
Okay, take